Hello, everyone, and a huge welcome to all the students from the Europe Hotel School. I specialize in bringing AI into modern hospitality, and today I am really excited to walk you through something absolutely critical for any leader: performance measurement. Trust me, this isn't just about crunching numbers, it's about how you can lead with absolute clarity. So let's dive right in. So let's start with this quote right here. Why this? Because honestly, without a clear lens to see what's going on, even the most amazing strategy is really just a guess. It's a shot in the dark. Performance measurement is how we stop guessing and actually start knowing. I want you to picture this, and I'm sure you've all seen it or felt it. You're in a beautiful, world-class hotel. The team is buzzing. Everyone is putting in the hours. They're clearly working so hard. On the surface, everything just looks right. And right there, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you actually connect all of that effort, all that hard work, to the results you're supposed to be hitting? If you don't have a system, you're basically just operating in a fog, hoping all that activity is pushing you in the right direction. Our job today is to clear away that fog. Okay, so our very first move is to get out of that fog, that uncertainty, and get into a state of real focus. This is all about learning how to take that raw, chaotic, everyday activity and turn it into insight you can actually use to lead your team. So let's get specific about what we mean here. Performance measurement, it's not just a boring report you look at once a month. Think of it as a living, breathing feedback loop. It's the bridge that connects your big, high-level goals, your strategy, with what's actually happening on the floor every single day. Every leader really faces this choice you see on the screen. Are you going to be a reactive manager, just constantly putting out fires, making gut calls when things go wrong? Or are you going to be a proactive leader, someone who uses evidence and data to see what's coming around the corner and make smart choices before the problems hit? That's the difference, and performance measurement is what gets you there. So where do we start building a system like this? Well, it begins with understanding that performance has two totally different sides. You've got the final results, and then you have the actions that actually created those results. This distinction is so important, so let's break it down. First up, you have your outcome indicators. These are your big picture numbers, the final score. They answer the simple question, what did we achieve? We're talking about things like your total monthly revenue, your profit margin, the bottom line. They are crucial for sure, but they only ever tell you half of the story. Because to get the other half, to understand the story behind those numbers, you absolutely need behavioral indicators. These are the metrics that tell you how you got there. They measure the key activities, the daily processes, the things your team is doing every single day that ultimately lead to those big outcomes. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Your outcome might be, say, monthly F&B revenue. That's the what. But the how might be the number of client outreach calls your team made. Or look at the second example, your guest satisfaction score. That's an outcome. A key behavioral driver behind that could be the number of front desk upselling attempts. See, if you only watch the outcome, you are totally blind to the behaviors that you need to be coaching and encouraging. All right, so we get the difference between outcomes and actions. But how do we build a system of metrics that actually helps guide our team in the right direction? It really comes down to three pretty simple but incredibly powerful rules. Rule number one is alignment, and this is built on a simple truth. What you measure is what you get. Think about it. If your strategy is all about long-term guest loyalty, but you're only measuring and rewarding your team for short-term bookings, what do you think they're going to focus on? They'll chase the number, not the relationship. Your metrics have to back up your strategy. Second is clarity. There can't be any confusion here. If your team doesn't get what a metric means, or how you're even tracking it, or most importantly, why it matters to the hotel, it just creates confusion and even mistrust. Being totally transparent here is an absolute must if you want to build a focused team. And the third rule is consistency. Look, you can't hit a moving target, and you definitely can't track progress if your measurements are changing all the time. You need a stable system so you can actually spot trends over weeks, months, and years. Now, that doesn't mean your metrics are set in stone forever, but any changes you make have to be deliberate and well communicated, not just random. So here it is, all laid out in a simple 4-step process. First, know your goals. What are you trying to achieve? Second, pick that right mix of outcome and behavioral metrics that actually support those goals. Third, communicate everything with total clarity. And fourth, measure consistently, but make sure you review your system from time to time to make sure it's still working. Okay, for this last section, let's kind of zoom out a bit because the very best measurement systems are not just about grading past performance. They're not a report card, they are a roadmap for the future. This is where we see it's about so much more than numbers. It's about your people and your culture.
This This is maybe the single most important question a leader can ask. Seriously, how you answer this question will define the culture of your team. Is data something to be afraid of? A weapon you use to place blame? Or is it a tool that everyone can use to get better?
Because when you choose development, everything changes. Those performance indicators, they become your best coaching tool. Your conversations are no longer based on opinions, they're based on facts. You can spot specific skill gaps, help your team grow, and build a culture where people really take ownership of their work. And the great thing is, these benefits ripple out across the whole hotel. When sales, marketing, and operations are all working towards shared goals, like guest retention, for example, those departmental silos just start to crumble. Everybody starts pulling in the same direction. And that's how you deliver a truly seamless guest experience. And finally, just think about the huge strategic advantage this gives you. With good, consistent data, you're not just reacting anymore. You're actually anticipating what's next. Your forecasting, your budgeting, your staffing, it all becomes so much smarter. The whole operation just gets more efficient and more profitable. So if there's one idea I want you to walk away with, it's this. Let's stop thinking about performance measurement as just a rearview mirror, something that just looks at the past. A well-designed system is your steering wheel. It's a forward-looking tool that gives you the clarity to empower your team, make smarter decisions, and literally enable success. The only question left is, what future are you going to enable?